Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Amanda and I'm so glad you're here. Today I am going to be talking about my plans for the Sealey challenge. Let's get into it. Okay y'all, so if you don't know what the Sealey challenge is, I would not be surprised because I learned about this challenge just last year when they had it. But they have it every year, and it is a community challenge to read one book of poetry a day for the month of August. So basically you just read a book of poetry each day in August, and you can record it on, they have this little thing that you can print out on their website. It's just a certificate, and you can write out all the books that you choose on there, and then they will send you in the mail, if you request it, a little like gold seal to put here to make it official. And that's just super fun. I love that. But I will link to that below in the description, and I will also link to their website and their social media stuff so you can check it out. Before I get into some of the choices that I have for this challenge, I wanted to talk a little bit about my plan for it. So I want to do this challenge because I don't read a lot of poetry typically throughout the year. Books of poetry are just not something that make it to my TBR very often, and I kind of forget about them. So I'm excited to be able to have a chance to really focus in on poetry in the month of August. I am planning on trying to figure out exactly which book I'm going to read on which day ahead of time, so that I can kind of reduce that decision fatigue. And also because some days I know are going to be fuller than others. My son starts football in August, and so the nights that he has practices or games, those are going to be fuller days. And also, like, we have VBS at church, and there's just a lot going on in August. So I want to kind of have a plan so that I can have some lighter books on the days that I know are going to be more full, and save the heftier ones for days where I know I'm going to have more time to fit them in. You'll see in the books that I share that I have some children's books and adult books. The children's books I'll probably fit in on those busier days. I don't want to discount them though, because I read a lot of poetry with my boys, and we find some really good stuff in children's poetry. So I definitely wanted to include them and make space for them in this challenge. The last thing I want to say is that I need 31 books. I currently have 26, I think. Yep, 26. So if you have any good poetry book recommendations, I would love for you to leave them in the comments, because I need to find 5 more, and I would love to hear if you have any good ones that you think I need to read. I will get 5 more. I can go to the library. I also know that there's a bunch of poetry books on Kindle Unlimited to choose from, so if I have to, I have resources to find them. But I'm gonna go ahead and share what I have, and then if you have recommendations, please leave them for me in the comments. All right, so getting into the books, I am not gonna say a lot about each one. There's 26 of them that I have to share, but I'm gonna share the physical books that I have first, and then I have some that I haven't picked up at the library and some that are on like the Libby app. So I will share those the second part. So first one I have is Thunder Underground, poems by Jane Yolen. This is obviously a children's poetry book, but it is really cool because it has some really fun pictures, and Jane Yolen is a really well-known children's book author, so I'm excited to read. Glare is pretty bad, but I'm excited to read this one. The next one I have is All Along You Were Blooming, Thoughts for Boundless Living by Morgan Harper Nichols. I've had this book for a while and I just have never read it, so now's the time. It's very colorful and very summery and springy, so I'm looking forward to this very much. The next one I have is going to be my only reread. This is A Night Without Armor, poems by Jewel. So when I was younger, like high school, college, Jewel was my favorite music artist, and I just absolutely loved her personality, and I just loved her. So, still love her. So I read this in college, I think. So I'm excited to read it again and see kind of how it hits differently now that I'm a wife and a mother. So I'm looking forward to this one. The next one I have is A Good Cry, What We Learn from Tears and Laughter by Nikki Giovanni. And I know absolutely nothing about this, but I was intrigued by this one based on the title, so I'm going to give it a shot. The next one I have is Slickety Quick, Poems About Sharks by Skeela Brown. And this is another, obviously a children's book about sharks, but I will probably read this one with my boys on the day that I read it. There's a look at the pictures, but and my boys are gonna love it, and so I'm excited to include them in this challenge. The next one I have is The Hill We Climb, an inaugural poem for the country by Amanda Gorman. This is technically not a book of poems, but it is a poem in a book. And I heard her read this when Joe Biden was inaugurated, and I loved it, and so I'm gonna read it. The next one I have is Goldenrod by Maggie Smith, and let's see. This says, from the award-winning poet and best-selling author of Keep Moving and Good Bones, a stunning poetry collection that celebrates the beauty and messiness of life. So I'm going to read this one, and I also have another one by her, which is Good Bones. So that's also on my list. So one of the blurbs on the back says, truthful, tender, and unafraid of the dark, the poems in Good Bones are lyrically charged love letters to a world in desperate need of her generous eye. So that sounds good. Next one I have is That Sweet Diamond. These are baseball poems by Paul B. Janiseko. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but yeah, baseball poems. Another one that I'll probably read with my kids. There was one in here, this one, Prayer for the Umpires. I thought that looked cute. So that's another one that I'll probably read with my kids on the day that I choose to read it. The next one I have is If They Come For Us by Fatima Asghar. And this is a beautiful cover. It's really pretty and definitely caught my eye. I saw somebody on social media, and I can't remember who, was reading this, and just the beginning says, this imaginative, soulful debut poetry collection captures the experiences of being a young Pakistani Muslim woman in contemporary America. And I think poetry is a really good way to learn about different points of view, and it's a good thing to have some diversity involved. So I definitely wanted to try to do that at least a little bit with the books that I've chosen. So this is one that I am really excited for. The next one is called Dearly by Margaret Atwood, the author of The Handmaid's Tale. I know nothing about it, but I recognize the author's name, so I picked that one up. Then I have, this one is called Poems to Learn by Heart by Caroline Kennedy. And this is one that I have read here and there with my kids, but I've not read the whole thing. I've not read every poem in it. This is a bigger one, but a lot of the poems are shorter because they are for kids. And there are a lot of pictures. I'm trying to find something. So my boys and I have enjoyed a lot of the poems in this book, but this will be my first time reading it cover to cover. So I'm looking forward to it, and I'll probably do some of them with my boys, not all of them because it's too many, but some of them. And the last one I have a physical copy of right now is the illustrated Edgar Allan Poe, edited by Ryan G. Van Cleve. This I got from the library and it looks so cool. The illustrations inside. So I wanted to read Edgar Allan Poe anyways, but the illustrations inside are just amazing. This may be a book that I would want to own, and there are several in this series, and 2 more of them are on my list. I have the illustrated Robert Frost and the illustrated Emily Dickinson from the same editor. So they're on my library holds list, and hopefully I'll have them soon. But when I got this one at the library, I was looking through it and I was like, I hope there are more of these on different poets, because I'm gonna get all the ones that I can get. So that's 2, this one and 2 more from my list that I don't have yet. Let's see, a few more from the library are One Last Word, Wisdom from the Harlem Renaissance by Nikki Grimes. That one I saw on Kristen at Delightfully Feasting on Instagram. She shared that one. And then also in a similar vein is Legacy, Women Poets of the Harlem Renaissance. And that is different poets, and I'm excited to read that one. Also from the library, I'll be getting Amazing Places, which is a collection of poems focusing on unique places of historical, environmental, and or cultural interest in the United States by poets from diverse backgrounds. Includes additional information about each place and sources. So that one, I like that it's a book of many different poets. So if I find a poem in there that I like, I can look up that author and find more of their poetry. Let's see. Also from the library, I will be getting The Dreamkeeper by Langston Hughes, and then Poems to See by A Comic Artist Interprets Great Poetry by Julian Peters. This says, a fresh twist on 24 classics, these visual interpretations by comic artist Julian Peters will change the way you see the world. I'm really excited about that one because I cannot wait to see how poetry is kind of made into like a graphic novel-ish book. That might be the one I'm most excited about of all of these. And then on Libby, I found some that I wanted to look at are And Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. I don't know that you can do this poetry challenge without reading Maya Angelou. Time is a Mother by Ocean Wong, and I'm sure I'm not saying that right. They were on a podcast that I listened to, and I cannot remember what it is, but the name stuck out to me, and so I'm gonna check that one out. Another one that I want to look at is Homebody by Rupi Kaur. I read another one of their books of poetry earlier this year or the end of last year and really loved it. So I want to check out another one. So then I found this one. It's called Obit by Victoria Chang. And this one looked really interesting and just different than anything I had seen. It says, after her mother died, poet Victoria Chang refused to write elegies. Rather, she distilled her grief during a feverish 2 weeks by writing scores of poetic obituaries for all she lost in the world. In this unflinching and lyrical book, Chang meets her grief and creates a powerful testament for the living. That's super interesting, and I'm excited to see what that book is like. And then 2 more that I have are Light for the World to See by Kwame Alexander. That's an author that I recognize, so I put that on my list. And then I have The Woman I Kept to Myself by Julia Alvarez. It says, the works of this award-winning poet and novelist are rich with the language and influences of 2 cultures, those of the Dominican Republic of her childhood and the America of her youth and adulthood. So again, it's important to me to have as much of a diverse list of authors as I can get, different perspectives, different point of views. those are the 26 of 31 that I need. So again, if you have recommendations, I would love to hear them down in the comments. If you haven't heard of this challenge, check it out and see if it might be something you want to do. I think you could adapt it however you want. It never hurts to get more poetry onto your reading list. So those are my plans, and I will keep you up to date with how it goes. Now we'll get to the kindness moment. For this, I found a poem that I think is appropriate for today. It's called You. If every single person who has liked you in your lifetime were to light up on a map, it would create the most glitteringly beautiful network you could imagine. Throw in the strangers you've been kind to, the people you've made laugh or inspired along the way, and that star-bright web of you would be an impressive sight to behold. You're so much more than you think you are. You have done so much more than you realize. You're trailing a bright pathway that you don't even know about. What a thing. What a thing indeed. And that is by Donna Ashworth. So on that note, go out there and be kind to someone today, y'all.